Hi guys, welcome back to TOEFL with Juva. There have been some major changes to the TOEFL IBT test. In this video, I will give you my top tips for getting a high score on the new TOEFL test. Let's get started! We will start with TOEFL Writing. This is the section with the biggest change in the new TOEFL. There are 2 tasks and one is completely new. It's like you're writing an online discussion response for a college class. The other task is to read a passage, listen to a lecture, and write a summary of both. Those tasks require completely different writing skills. The first task is TOEFL Integrated Writing. It requires a formal essay that contrasts material from 2 sources. The second task is called Academic Discussion. It's a relatively casual addition to a chat room conversation, so you need to make your point quickly and clearly. You don't need to write a formal essay, but you must be polite about the views expressed by the other students in the discussion group. So how do you prepare for all of that? I suggest using a template. What is a template? A template gives you sentence starters that include great vocabulary and that help you organize your response. If you memorize a template before you take the TOEFL, you don't have to think about how to start. You can simply start writing. That's awesome because the TOEFL is stressful. The clock is running, so you don't have much time. You need the time you have to think about the arguments you want to use. You don't have time to think about how to start your sentences. A template solves this problem. It saves time and it ensures that you use a large vocabulary, and this will boost your score. That's why I love using templates. I have written templates for all the TOEFL writing tasks. The templates are included in my TOEFL materials. Just click on the link in the description. Additionally, instead of learning random vocabulary, you should focus on something else. It's really tempting to try to use really complicated vocabulary, idioms, or grammatical structures. That's natural since you want to show off your skills, right? Be careful. If you use hard words and structures incorrectly, you will get a lower score than if you use simpler grammar and phrases correctly. In other words, it's okay to practice by pushing yourself, but use grammar and vocabulary that you are comfortable with on the day of the test. Instead of learning random vocabulary, focus on linking words and phrases. Become very comfortable with ways to join sentences using words like therefore and however. Those linking words will help with both the TOEFL writing and speaking section. They will help you organize your ideas clearly. You can find many linking words in my TOEFL materials. The link is in the description. Let's go on with TOEFL Reading. The reading section will now have 2 passages with 20 questions. Prepare before the test by becoming familiar with the different types of question, which are all the same as they were in the past. If you want to learn more about the different types of question, check out my TOEFL Reading course. In this course, I show you how to solve different questions and how to find the correct answers fast. We take many TOEFL reading tests together, so you get the practice you need to get a high TOEFL reading score. The link is in the description. The TOEFL reading topics often include new words, but you don't have to stress out trying to guess what vocabulary will be used. Of course, vocabulary is important, but making lists of words to memorize is not really helpful because you don't even know what the topic will be. Instead, I suggest reading as many articles as possible. Sometimes I read with a dictionary to look up the meaning of words I don't know. Other times, I try to guess the meaning of the words from the context. By reading, you will improve your ability to find clues in the text about the definitions and about the overall topic. At the same time, the process of actively trying to understand the word will help you remember new vocabulary too. During the TOEFL, don't focus on reading the text for every detail. First, read the questions and figure out what you need to look for in the passage. Look for keywords because this helps you find the correct answer fast. If you really don't know the answer, go ahead and guess because there is no penalty for a wrong answer. You might get it right. Don't waste too much time on a question that's really difficult. You can always go back and answer it later if you have time. We will move on to TOEFL Listening. The listening section will also be shorter, with less than 30 questions about both conversations and academic lectures. As with TOEFL Reading, be sure to take time to familiarize yourself with the structure of the test. Take practice tests. Though it's shorter, the question types are the same. How do you practice listening? I like to listen to podcasts so I can get used to a lot of different accents and speaking styles. Short podcasts are a lot like the lectures you might find on the TOEFL test. Sometimes I listen to academic topics to practice hearing text with words I don't understand. I try not to panic when I hear a new word, but just get the basic idea of the whole text. Listening to new material every day sure makes a difference. Now, I don't always feel like studying, and if I have a long time before the test date, I will practice by listening to really fun topics that I know well too. It doesn't necessarily help boost my vocabulary, though I may pick up a few new words. The reason I listen to fun topics is to gain confidence that I totally understand what I hear. With that confidence, I'm ready for the listening section of the actual test. Finally, here's another top tip. Turn the volume up higher than you normally would listen to it. I always do this. That way you don't miss any words, so it's easier to follow the conversations. Let's have a look at TOEFL Speaking. You will have 4 speaking questions. One asks you to give your opinion on a topic. The others involve summarizing information you read or hear. To do well on the speaking section, you must stay on task and answer the question. For example, if you are asked to summarize one person's view in a conversation, you should not give your own opinion on the subject. The new test may have a longer speaking prompt asking about your opinion too. Be sure to read it carefully. One of the main problems students have in TOEFL Speaking is trying to say too much. You only have a short time to organize your response. My advice is the same as for TOEFL Writing. Use a template. You can find templates for every TOEFL speaking task in my TOEFL materials. They include amazing sentence starters, linking words, and much more to help you boost your score quickly. Just click on the link in the description. Before the test, use the template many times so you become familiar with the different structures and vocabulary. Use a timer when you practice so you get used to the time limit for each response. During the test, look forward while you talk. Your voice is easier to understand when you face forward. Really, that may sound odd, but it's true. If you look down like this, you may speak faster or mumble. That means you talk in a low voice with sounds that blur into each other. If you mumble, the TOEFL examiner can't understand you, so your score will go down. My other advice is not to worry about making the cleverest response. I know you want to sound smart by giving a creative answer. However, you are scored on how well you present the idea, not what the idea is. Focus on selecting precise words and linking the ideas to form a really logical argument. You also don't have a lot of time to speak, so you can't add to the ideas too much by giving exceptions or alternatives. Therefore, I suggest you pick one stance and speak about it, even if you don't feel strongly. These are my top tips to help you get an awesome score on the new 2023 TOEFL. I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions or a video wish, comment below and I would love to see you here next time. Bye bye!